Have you ever wondered how a single teacher in the 8th century could shape the beliefs of millions across centuries? What if that teacher lived at the crossroads of political upheaval and spiritual transformation, guiding souls toward both knowledge and devotion? This is the story of Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, the 6th Imam whose vision and scholarship laid the groundwork for a major branch of Islam. His life offers surprising insights into theology, science, and social justice that still resonate powerfully today. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq was born in Medina in 702 CE into a family revered for its knowledge. His ancestry traced back to the Prophet Muhammad through his grandson Hussein. From early childhood, he witnessed scholars gathering around his father Muhammad al-Baqir and his grandfather Ali ibn Hussein Zayn al-Abidin. That rich environment shaped him into a thinker who valued both tradition and inquiry. As a youth, he listened to debates on law, ethics, and science, laying the foundation for his later contributions. His father, Muhammad al-Baqir, the 5th Imam, was known for organizing and teaching religious knowledge. His mother came from another respected family in Medina, blending tribal and scholarly roots. Jafar inherited the title al-Sadiq, meaning the truthful, because of his reputation for honesty. Early accounts describe him reciting poetry, memorizing texts, and asking questions that surprised his elders. Those experiences gave him a strong sense of identity rooted in faith, ethics, and the pursuit of truth. In Medina, life mixed devotional prayers with lively debates about faith and law. Young Jafar walked through courtyards where speakers discussed the Prophet's sayings, legal rulings, and moral questions. He learned to listen carefully, accept different views, and test ideas against evidence. That balance between respect for tradition and willingness to explore new knowledge defined his teaching style and earned him admiration from all sides. During Jafar's lifetime, the Umayyad dynasty gave way to the Abbasids. That transition, around 750 CE, involved revolts, alliances, and shifts in power. For many devout Muslims, the change raised questions about rightful leadership and community values. Shia Muslims saw the Imams as divinely guided leaders, while others supported the Caliph in Baghdad. In this climate of political tension and religious debate, Jafar chose to focus on knowledge rather than politics, earning respect from diverse groups. As rival groups formed, labels like Sunni and Shia grew more distinct. Disputes over law and leadership sometimes turned violent, but scholars continued teaching. Jafar al-Sadiq offered a middle path, firm belief in the imamate combined with careful reasoning. He did not lead armies or stage rebellions. Instead, he held study circles in his home where students from different backgrounds gathered. His approach helped stabilize early Shia thought and influenced Sunni scholars as well. Imam Jafar studied under many teachers, including famous jurists and Quranic commentators. He learned Arabic grammar, theology, ethics, and even fields like astronomy and medicine. His broad education made him a versatile guide. When debates arose, he could draw on multiple disciplines to explain complex ideas in simple terms. He encouraged students to ask questions and check sources, teaching them to think critically rather than accept hearsay. He wrote down thousands of hadiths, collecting sayings of the Prophet and earlier Imams. His library is said to have contained rare texts on law, philosophy, and natural science. To preserve knowledge, he sent students to places like Kufa and Basra, two great centers of learning. They returned with new manuscripts and insights, which he reviewed and corrected. That sharing of ideas helped spread his teachings across the Islamic world. In his study sessions, Jafar would pose challenging questions and then offer multiple viewpoints. He used simple examples like a merchant weighing goods to illustrate legal principles. His style avoided complicated jargon, making ideas accessible to many. Students recall him drawing diagrams in the sand to explain inheritance rules or the phases of the moon. Such visual methods made abstract topics tangible, ensuring learners could apply concepts in daily life. He became a central figure in hadith scholarship. Hadith experts from different schools recognized his reliability. He classified sayings by chain of transmission, explaining which reports were strong and which needed further verification. That rigorous method strengthened the value of hadith in Islamic law and theology. Even Sunni collections cite him as a trustworthy source, reflecting his broad influence. One of Jafar's major contributions was his legal methodology. He taught that the Quran, the Prophet's example, and reason should all guide legal rulings. He gave weight to consensus among learned scholars, but also stressed the Imam's authority to interpret law when necessary. This balanced model offered flexibility and moral clarity, allowing Shia jurisprudence to adapt to changing circumstances without losing its core principles. He organized legal rulings into clear categories: worship, transactions, personal status, and criminal law. Later jurists built on his system, calling it the Jafari school of law. This school remains one of the main Islamic legal traditions today. Students learned specific rulings on prayer, fasting, marriage, and inheritance, all linked back to Jafar's teachings. That consistency created a strong foundation for community life and religious practice. Imam Jafar engagovan u teološke debate koristeći kalam, racionalni diskurs o božanskim atributima. He argued that God's justice required human free will and accountability. He challenged fatalistic views, saying people could choose right or wrong, and God's mercy and wisdom guided those choices. By addressing complex questions about predestination and suffering, he gave believers a framework to understand life's challenges and maintain hope in divine justice. Central to Jafar's thought was the idea of adl, divine justice. He taught that God neither oppresses nor punishes without cause. That belief supported the idea of moral responsibility and the need for a spiritual guide. The Imam served as a living example of God's justice, interpreting scripture and law with compassion. This concept became a hallmark of Shia theology, distinguishing it from other views of divine power and human agency. He emphasized that humans possess free will to choose faith or disbelief, good or evil. That choice carried real consequences in this world and the next. He used simple analogies like a traveler choosing a path in a forest to explain moral decisions. By highlighting accountability, he encouraged personal reflection and ethical living. His teachings empowered individuals to take responsibility for their actions rather than seeing themselves as helpless subjects of fate. Imam Jafar clarified the Shia doctrine of imamat, that leadership after the Prophet should rest with divinely chosen guides from his family. He described the Imam as both a spiritual authority and a practical teacher of law. This dual role gave the community a source of guidance in all aspects of life. His clear definitions helped unify diverse groups under a shared belief in the legitimacy and importance of the Imam. Beyond law and theology, he explored inner dimensions of faith. He spoke of the batin, the hidden meaning behind scripture, alongside the zahir, its outward sense. By blending exoteric and esoteric perspectives, he invited believers to seek deeper spiritual insights. That approach influenced later Shia mystics and thinkers, paving the way for a rich tradition of inner spirituality within Islam. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq did not confine himself to religious studies. He explored natural phenomena, examining the structure of minerals and the properties of plants. He believed that understanding creation deepened one's appreciation for the Creator. To illustrate that point, he discussed the phases of the moon and the cycle of rainfall. His willingness to engage with science set a precedent for later Muslim scholars who bridged faith and reason. Stories describe him conducting early chemistry experiments, mixing substances to observe color changes and reactions. He taught that careful observation and documentation were key steps in scientific inquiry. His students, known as the Six Companions, carried these practices forward, influencing figures like Jabir ibn Hayyan, often called the father of chemistry. This legacy demonstrates how religious scholarship and scientific curiosity often went hand in hand in the medieval Islamic world. He also studied astronomy to improve the accuracy of prayer times and the Muslim calendar. By tracking celestial movements, he helped refine methods for determining the start of months and seasonal changes. In medicine, he recommended herbal remedies and healthy lifestyles, emphasizing balance in diet and exercise. His holistic view connected spiritual well-being with physical health, reminding believers that caring for the body honors divine gifts. Many of his students became renowned scholars. Abu Hanifa, the founder of one Sunni school of law, studied with Jafar for several years. While Abu Hanifa developed his own system, he later acknowledged the value of Jafar's teaching. Other students, such as Malik ibn Anas in Medina and Wasil ibn Atta in Kufa, also carried fragments of his scholarship into broader circles. This cross-pollination of ideas enriched Islamic thought beyond sectarian lines. Hassan al-Basri, a leading figure in early Sunni asceticism, interacted with Jafar on questions of ethics and divine sovereignty. Their respectful dialogues illustrate how scholars of different streams exchanged views. Through such encounters, Jafar gained a reputation not only as a Shia imam, but as a respected voice in the entire Muslim world. That respect helped smooth tensions and foster mutual learning. Throughout his life, Imam Jafar avoided direct political involvement. He refused to support armed uprisings against the caliphate, arguing that violence risked dividing the community and undermining moral authority. Instead, he focused on teaching and personal example. His stance appealed to those weary of conflict and laid the groundwork for a spiritual movement that transcended political rivalries. Although he lived under Abbasid rule, he maintained a cautious distance from the court. He accepted invitations to discuss theology but declined appointments that might compromise his independence. His balanced approach allowed him to speak freely while avoiding persecution. Later, Shia scholars praised his wisdom in navigating complex power dynamics without losing sight of higher principles. Accounts of his life highlight his humility and kindness. He treated students with warmth, often greeting them with a smile and offering food or shelter. He cared for the poor, visited the sick, and comforted the grieving. That compassion strengthened his moral authority and inspired followers to emulate his example in caring for others. While few of his own writings survive directly, many later books quote him extensively. Works attributed to him include treatises on jurisprudence, ethics, and natural science. Scholars believe that his original manuscripts numbered in the hundreds. Over time, many were lost to war and neglect, but the fragments preserved in other works still testify to his wide-ranging intellect. He died in 765 CE in Medina, leaving a dedicated circle of students. Those disciples continued teaching his methods, traveling to distant lands to spread his ideas. They established study centers in Iraq, Persia, and beyond, ensuring that Jafar's legacy would endure. Generations later, Shia communities looked back to him as the founding figure of their legal and theological tradition. By the 10th century, the Jafari school became one of the 4 main Sunni legal schools recognized by some Muslim rulers and jurists. Shia communities officially adopted it as their standard. That recognition helped preserve unity among diverse groups, as followers of Jafar al-Sadiq everywhere referred to the same legal principles. Even today, millions of Shias follow rituals and rulings shaped by his teachings. Jafari law emphasizes the role of reason in interpreting scripture, allowing qualified jurists to issue rulings adapted to modern challenges. That flexibility has enabled Shia communities to navigate new issues like bioethics, economics, and social justice. The core principles laid down by Imam Jafar remain central, reminding believers to balance tradition, compassion, and rational thought in all matters. Although rooted in Shia thought, many of Jafar's ideas found acceptance in Sunni circles. His hadith transmissions enriched major Sunni collections, and Sunni legal theorists borrowed his methods of weighing evidence. This exchange demonstrates that his influence transcended sectarian boundaries, contributing to a shared intellectual heritage within Islam. In recent centuries, thinkers and reformers have returned to Jafar's work to address modern questions. Some draw on his teachings to advocate for social justice and human rights, while others emphasize his scientific curiosity as a model for education. Across the world, centers named after him promote dialogue between faith and reason, showing that his message remains as vital now as it was in the 8th century. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq's birthday, known as Eid al-Jafari, is celebrated by Shia communities with gatherings of prayer, poetry recitals, and lectures. Scholars review his life and teachings, encouraging listeners to apply his ethical principles in daily life. Such events reinforce communal bonds and inspire new generations to carry forward his legacy of wisdom and integrity. Pilgrims visit his grave in Medina, placing flowers and reciting prayers. The site remains a place of reflection where visitors seek blessings and guidance. Nearby, institutions of learning honor his name, offering classes on Islamic law and theology. These living traditions keep his memory alive, reminding pilgrims that his quest for knowledge and justice continues to inspire. In a world facing moral and social challenges, Imam Jafar al-Sadiq's balanced approach offers practical lessons. His emphasis on justice, compassion, and critical thinking can guide debates on ethics, governance, and science. By studying his life, people of all backgrounds can find models for integrity, empathy, and intellectual curiosity, qualities that remain essential in every age. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq emerges from history not only as a spiritual leader but also as a bridge between faith and reason. His contributions to theology, law, science, and ethics shaped the course of Islamic civilization and left a legacy that transcends sectarian lines. By embracing his teachings on justice and inquiry, we honor a tradition that values both heart and mind. His story reminds us that true knowledge lies in the unity of spiritual devotion and critical thought, a timeless message that continues to light the path for seekers around the world.